Perfect.
Okay. Except I haven't got your picture. I don't know.
That's fine. You don't need to see me. I'm probably
Thank
just sat
you.
here.
We would like to. There we are. I can see you now. I hope everybody
Okay, you
else
can
can
see
see you.
me. Perfect. So, good evening, everyone. Apologies for the hiccup on that behalf. Sean and I got talking, and we probably should have checked this this properly first, but I thought it was all working. So, apologies. So, my name is Annie Clarke, and I am the co-founder of the Fortis Collective, which is a non-profit organization that turns neglected public green spaces into vibrant community hubs. We do this by hosting free activities, classes, and events. Before I start tonight, I'd like to ask you a question. How many WhatsApp groups are you part of? I'm sure you probably have a friends group, sports group, security group, church group, community, family group. Honestly, many of us have dozens. Now, let me ask you another question. How many of you know every person living in your street? How many of your children regularly play with children who live nearby? How many of you have had a cup of coffee with your neighbor? Isn't it strange? We've never been more connected digitally, and yet many of us have never felt more disconnected physically. Tonight, I'm here to talk about what that means for our children, our communities, and why neglected public green spaces might offer part of that solution. Please stay on this slide, Sean. So, when did we stop knowing our neighbors? When did this happen? When did children stop roaming freely? When did parks become places where we drive past instead of places where we gather? Sorry, Sean, just go back one slide. Perfect, thank you. As South Africans, we've become very good at creating safer homes, but have we become equally good at creating safer communities? Because children don't just learn from parents and teachers, they learn from the communities around them. And if communities become weaker, children feel that. And I often wonder if one of the greatest losses in modern society isn't simply public space, it's the loss of everyday connection. Next slide, please, Sean. Fantastic. So, is safety created by walls alone? Now, let's be honest, security matters, especially in this country, and we all understand why. But I want to ask a slightly uncomfortable question. Has all of our investments in walls, cameras, electric fences, security alarm systems, has it helped us to know one another better? Has it helped us to build stronger connections? Has it helped neighbors trust one another? Because some of the safest places that I've personally experienced aren't necessarily the places with the highest walls. They're actually the places where people know one another, where somebody notices when something isn't right, and especially when parents know each other's children. It's where people feel a sense of ownership and where community itself becomes a form of security. Next slide, please, Sean. Fantastic. So, what makes a place feel safe? If you think about a place where you genuinely feel comfortable, maybe it's your home, maybe it's a coffee shop, a church, a market, possibly even your favorite park. Why does it feel safe? It's usually not because of the infrastructure. It's actually usually because of the people. People create an atmosphere. People create a sense of belonging. And as a collective, when we started this project, we learned something really simple. When families arrive, the atmosphere changes. And when children start playing, the atmosphere changes again. And when volunteers show up, the atmosphere changes yet again. The space physically changed in Linwood Pine Forest when we started doing our work, but that actually isn't what created this movement. What created this movement was that the people who started coming found new perspectives. And when those perspectives changed, honestly, it changed everything. And the next slide, please. So, what are children missing? As many of you are Montessori parents, I suspect this slide speaks directly to your hearts. Children are designed for exploration. They crave curiosity and they long for that sense of discovery. They live for adventures. Yet increasingly, childhood is becoming scheduled, supervised, and screen based. And many children can identify dozens of YouTubers, ones that I've never even heard of, but they've never climbed a tree. Many can navigate a phone or an iPad, but they've never navigated a forest trail. So, what are they truly missing? They're not just missing nature, they're missing opportunities to grow in confidence, opportunities to build resilience, a way to discover their independence, and a way to help them work on their problem solving skills. They're also, quite frankly, missing a world full of wonder. Nature gives children opportunities to become capable human beings in ways that no screens ever can. Next slide, please, Sean. So, could a neglected public space become a safe community place? That's a really big question. And when we first became involved with Linwood Pine Forest, most people thought the answer was no. People hadn't used the forest for the right reasons for years. Parents certainly didn't bring their children there. Many in the community viewed it as unsafe and a place to be avoided at all costs. But the real challenge wasn't the forest. The real challenge was actually belief. And people had stopped believing that the space could be different. People no longer felt it served a purpose because they could no longer see its potential. And that's actually when decline begins. Decline doesn't just begin when infrastructure starts to fail. It begins, actually, when hope starts to fail. So we asked ourselves a simple question. What if we stopped waiting for somebody else to fix it? What if we stopped thinking that the municipality was going to come in and save it? After all, why would they invest time and money into a space that nobody cares about? But then again, we asked ourselves the question, what if we actually started to care? And our thought was, if we show that we care, if we show that this space is important to us, if we show how valuable a space like this could become, then other people will start to see the value too. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. Next slide, please, Sean. So, how did the Fortis Collective actually do this? This is where people expect me to talk about funding or grants or big corporate sponsors, but honestly, that's not how it started. It started with just two people, myself and my husband. And I guess it was two people who wanted to make a difference. We then enlisted a handful of community members who helped shape what the forest looks like today. We purchased some gardening equipment that did cost, and we had a lot of enthusiasm and a willingness to show up consistently. And the reason we cared so much for this forest was we'd actually bought a house, which, for anyone who may have been before, our house is adjacent to the forest. So it was almost like a calling for us to try and take care of this land. But it was a challenge to get people involved in caring for it in the beginning. It was a challenge. But the lesson that we actually learned from this project is that communities rarely need a superhero. They actually just need somebody to go first. Next slide, please, Sean. So this slide is important because it truly demonstrates just how quickly momentum can build. In just 2 weeks, we transformed a neglected forest with grasses high as me, full of litter, full of people using it for all the wrong reasons, into something that could actually begin to look different. And it wasn't because we had all the answers. It was because visible action creates belief. People start to support things when they can actually see progress. Next slide, please. Now, here's the part that I personally love. This actually didn't take hundreds of volunteers. There were 12 people. 12, that's all. 12 people who decided to make a difference. Within 4 weeks, we'd actually hosted 9 free events. And those events created something far more valuable than entertainment. They created connection. Next slide, please. Now, this is where something fascinating actually happened. The moment people saw positive momentum, they actually wanted to be a part of it. Local businesses stepped forward. Facilitators who I'd never met before stepped forward. Professionals from the community stepped forward. And not because we paid them, but because they wanted to contribute. And in truth, I think people are desperate to be part of something. And not just be part of something, but be part of something that's hopeful. We simply don't always have the opportunities to be part of something like this. Next slide, please, Sean. So within a few short months, we had welcomed over 2,000 visitors and we'd hosted more than 90 free activities. But here's the thing, those numbers aren't actually what matters. What matters is what happened between those numbers. Neighbors met, children made friends, parents connected, people found a sense of belonging. And that, for me, was the real impact. It doesn't matter how many people we have come to this forest. It doesn't matter how many events we put on. What matters is what people take from it and how they can then replicate this in their own communities. Next slide, please. So today, the forest hosts regular activities every week. And every week, people arrive who have never met before. And every week, they leave knowing somebody new. Imagine if every community had a place like that, a place where connection happens naturally, a place where community is continuously strengthened. Next slide, please, Sean. Now, this is the question I get asked most often. People ask me, can this work where I live? How do I start? What do we do? How do we make this happen? And in truth, I haven't got all of the answers yet. This is still relatively new for us. We are on month 4 of this journey, and it has grown so quickly and scaled so fast that I haven't got all of the answers. But the model isn't complicated. All it starts with is caring and finding a space or knowing of a space that could use some positive input. And then once that space is identified, and I think most of us already have a place that they've kind of walked past or drove past and seen it and thought, oh, like, what a shame that that space isn't being used. We all have that somewhere in our communities. Once you identify that space, then it's about consistency. Maybe the grass needs cut. Can you get a team of people together to come along and do a volunteer day to help cut the grass? Maybe the grass is already cut, but it's full of litter or it just doesn't feel like it's very loved. Can you get a team together to come along and help tidy it up, spruce it up, give it a new lease of life? And once that space is now usable, whether it's by cleaning the grass or clearing the litter, is it then possible for you to go on your local WhatsApp groups or your local Facebook groups and say, guys, we're keen to make this space better. Anybody fancy a game of five-a-side football? Or does anybody fancy doing a yoga in the park? Or we actually started our very, very first event was a get-together, which was where we basically said anybody with dogs can come along, meet other people in the community who have dogs and get to know each other. Let your dogs play, let the humans talk. And it was a really, really simple one. And unfortunately, it actually rained for the entire day. We were super unlucky, but it rained from like 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock, and our event was 12 till 4. So it wasn't actually that successful, but it didn't put me off. And from then we did one called Meet Thy Neighbor, which again was just an opportunity for people in the community to come together and get to know one another. We then started with Sunday walks. I started with Little Forest Explorers Club, which is our children's club for age 3 to 12-year-olds. Then from there, we got to meet people, and more people started coming forward and saying, oh, let's say they were at Little Explorers, they would say, oh, this is fantastic. My children love coming here. I'm actually a yoga teacher, or I'm a psychologist, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a skincare professional. Can I come and give a talk or do a class or do an activity? And from there, it just grew and grew and grew. And it didn't take me going out pitching this to people. Once people started to see, hold on, this space exists, and this space is a place that all of us can use, whether you're a small business owner, whether you're a family looking to have a picnic, whether you're a mum wanting to take your children to do something outside. This space exists and it's here. And I think one of the big reasons why I'm so passionate about this is I'm actually British. You can probably tell by my accent. But in the UK, our parks are public parks and we use them. We sit and have our lunch there when we're at work. We have our parties there. We have braais in the summer. We go to yoga classes, boot camp classes, all these different things. But our parks are a huge part of our community. And I've been in South Africa 4 years now, and I really missed having access to that and having the ability to just go and sit in a park. I have a garden, but sometimes it's nice to sit somewhere slightly more public where you can watch the world go by and wander around a bit more, and it just get out into nature. It's a huge part of what I've grown up with, and I miss that. So I guess that's a huge driver for me. But yeah, when we started this, we didn't expect it to go to where it's got to now. But once I started to show that I cared, and my husband started to show that he cared, all of these other people just started to come out of the woodwork from all different events and say, oh, I'd like to care too. I'd like to do something. And from there, we then started to approach local businesses and say, guys, this is what we're doing. We'd like to do, for instance, a raffle to try and raise some funds to be able to put fuel in the lawnmower or the brush cutter. We want to be able to do all these different things. That would you be willing to sponsor? And businesses started to say, yeah, okay, like we can see what you're doing, we can see how many people you're getting. And they started to grow and grow like this. And from there, this sense of ownership really began. And then we got involved with local councillors. We officially adopted the park. And now, yeah, it's here. And our plan is to continue this, to find the next space that's needed. And again, replicate the model. And hopefully, then one day step away from that one and say to that community, guys, this is your park now. You must run with it. And we move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. And we help people essentially set this up. And we stay with them and show them the framework and show them how to get it going. And then we step back. That would be my dream. But as I said, we are 4 months into this. It's grown far faster than I had ever imagined. So it's still a work in progress, but I can promise you, if you are thinking, can I replicate this in my community? It's very easy to do. It just starts with care. Thank you. Shan, next slide. So now imagine if every community actually did do this. Imagine if every school adopted one public space. Imagine if every suburb revitalized one neglected area. Imagine if every community created opportunities for neighbors to meet. How different would South Africa feel then? How different would our children's childhood be? And how different would our future look? Next slide, please, Sean. So I have a challenge for every person who's here tonight. And my ask is really simple. Don't leave this talk this evening feeling inspired. Leave feeling challenged. What's one thing that you could do? One activity that you could come up with to bring your community together? One place that you could clean up, whether it's cutting or clearing? One place. What's one event that maybe your community could host? Or even what's one conversation that you could have with your neighbor to talk about how you could possibly make your local green space better. Because communities, in all honesty, they're not built by governments. They're actually built by people. And I think that's something that we often forget. So in closing, next slide, please, Sean. I'd like to leave you with just one final thought. I don't think that this country has a shortage of good people. I actually don't think the world has a shortage of good people. But I think what we have is a shortage of places where good people can regularly meet and be together and make the changes happen that need to. And perhaps that's why this matters. Perhaps why creating these spaces, why rebuilding our parks is so important. Because really, we're not rebuilding parks, we're rebuilding trust, we're rebuilding connection, we're rebuilding community. And if we want future generations to care about their communities, we must first give them communities that are worth caring about. This movement may have started with a park, but in all honesty, I see it ending with something so much bigger. I see it ending with a stronger, safer, and more connected South Africa. Thank you all. I hope that gave you a good insight into what we do, how we've done it, and where we're currently at with everything. As I said, this is still new, but it is growing fast. And if it's something that is of interest to you, we'd love for you to be involved in any way, shape, or form. We are always looking for people to inspire with different activities, events, classes. If you want to come and volunteer your time, lots of people have come to me and said, "Oh, but I don't have a skill." You don't need a skill. I run the children's events, and I promise you, before I did this, I had never done anything with children before, and I've grown to love it. I look forward to my Saturday morning every week. It's a true passion of mine now, and I didn't even know that I had this in me. So even if you think there's nothing that you could contribute, or you don't know what you could contribute, please, if you would ever like to be involved with the Fortis Collective here, or if you'd like any inspiration of how to do it in your own communities, reach out. I have put all of my contact details here at the bottom of the screen. If anybody would like to connect, it would be an absolute pleasure.
Annie, I think I speak for everybody here. Very inspiring. And I really hope you will grow in strength and that you will have all the volunteers that you can possibly, more than you can possibly handle. That this really becomes a community thing. I think that is actually what's different to me from the idea of just getting a park in good condition. I think it's the idea of the community. I think you said at one point, when we invest in parks, we are not investing in grass and trees, we are investing in people. And I think that's actually the whole importance of this initiative. And I really wish you all the best going forward. And I hope I'll soon actually get to seeing the place and seeing some of the activities that go on there. It always looks so exciting when I see your posters. And I hope you'll have lots of people coming. Has anybody got questions? I'm sure Annie will be prepared to answer them.
Yeah, I do, Annie. Yes, my name's Heather, not user. What is the address of the park that you're currently using, the Linwood Pine Forest?
I'll put it on the group chat, but the park is actually called Denneboom Park, which is spelled Denne Boom Park.
Yeah.
So nobody knows it as that. It has always just been referred to as Linwood Pine Forest, but we actually only found that out when we went through the city of Swanage to do the legal adoption. They said, "Oh, you're adopting Denneboom Park," and I was like, "No, Linwood Pine Forest." And they said, "Oh, well, that's the actual name." But even in the park, there's no signage, there's nothing. So when we first bought our house, and how this actually started was we had this plot of land next to us, and I couldn't work out. I kept saying to my husband, but nobody comes to cut this or cares for it. What is it? Is it a park? Is it somebody's land? And eventually I got to the bottom of it, and I found out, no, it was municipal land. So I kept going to the municipality and saying to them, guys, like, we've got this lovely forest next to us, but can somebody please come and cut it? And obviously the municipality is stretched. Funds aren't always available. The equipment isn't always available. So unfortunately, they kind of basically just said, it's not a priority for us. We can't do anything at the moment. And that was when we said, oh, okay, let's try and do something ourselves. So I will send the address, but it's called Deneboom Park.
Okay.
And it's on 80 Jacobson Drive, Linwood Ridge. I've actually put it onto Google. So if you Google Linwood Pine Forest, you will see it come up.
Okay. Jacobson. Okay, now I'm very keen to come and have a look.
Fantastic. Honestly, it's such a beautiful space. It really is.
And your Saturday activities, I mean, do you advertise those, or it's just sort of word of mouth that gets around getting more people coming?
No, so we have a WhatsApp channel. So we have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a WhatsApp channel. I post everything on the WhatsApp channel. At the moment, because I've realized South Africans don't like to come out in the winter. I've noticed this
Time to hibernate.
Yeah, my husband kept trying to. So my husband is South African, and he kept saying to me, Annie, you're putting these events on in the winter. And he's like, you're not going to get anyone. And I'm like, but Nick, it's 18 degrees outside. It's summer for me. So I turn up whether it's rain or shine, but I have noticed at the moment that people tend to hibernate. So we've kind of slowed down a little bit with the events because we were having quite a lot of people putting on things where we weren't getting as many people. And I can only say that's because it's 9 degrees in the morning and nobody wants to be doing a yoga class. So we still have Little Forest Explorers every Saturday. This Saturday, we actually have our activity day. So that has everything from board games, five-a-side football, a murder mystery, children's art class, which is put on by one of the ladies who has a children's art studio in the community. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, community bingo, all of these things going on at the same time. So we're doing more bigger events at the moment until spring comes again, when we can start doing our regular 9 activities a week.
Okay. All right. No, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I think, Taryn, you've got your hand up. Unmute yourself.
Thanks, Sean. Maybe not so much a question, but just a comment to say, thank you so much, Annie. Like when I was starting on the call tonight, then Freya was next to me, my little 4-year-old, and then she was like, "Oh, it's Annie, my favorite person." So it's really so sweet, because I think we've only been to like a few Little Explorers clubs and things like that, but it's something very special that you've created. And like you say, like you don't have any experience with children, but I honestly thought you had lots of experience, because you're such a natural, and like she really does love coming on the Saturdays there. And I think it's so special to see children like running through a forest, or like running around a forest looking for clues, and just being like in nature is so special. And you've created something where they like look forward to going there. So just a thank you from me. You really created something very special.
Thank you very much, Taryn. That honestly, it means so much, because like I said, I haven't had this experience. I don't even have children myself. So my mum did have a nursery, and I spent many hours there after school and throughout my life. So maybe that has somewhat rubbed off on me, and her passion for children has rubbed off on me. But yeah, this was a new thing for me. And actually in the beginning, I was a bit worried about doing it, because kids are a lot, and they take up a lot of energy. And the first 2 or 3 Little Explorers we did, I came home and I lay down on my bed in a dark room, absolutely exhausted. And I remember ringing my mum saying, how did you do this day in, day out of these kids? I said, I need to sleep for the rest of my Saturday afternoon. But now it's like water off a duck's back. I don't even think about it. I love it, but it really, it means a lot to know that the kids are enjoying it, and that parents also find it beneficial, because sometimes you worry whether or not you're doing the right thing. Like I'm not South African, I'm British, and maybe how we grew up and how my childhood was very different. So I often wonder, is it going to appeal, like what I like in nature and these things, is that going to appeal to a South African audience? Because we don't have a load of toys waiting for kids to play with. It is decorate a pine cone, or it is go exploring for puzzle clues that are hidden around the forest. So it's a very niche market, I would say sometimes, but it's really nice to find parents who also appreciate, and children.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. It's really so special, and it's like it's not the, I think it's like the whimsicalness that you also bring to the forest, which really captures the children also. Yeah. No, it's been really great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Annie, I think it's been lovely.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for having me and giving us a platform to tell people about what we're doing.
It's wonderful. I think more and more people need to hear that there are all these possibilities for getting their children into nature. So I think that is really, in this modern life, so important, just to get them off the screens and get them out and doing natural things. Anyway, thank you all for coming. And I hope we'll see you again at the next Thursday talk, which will be in the beginning of August, and it's going to be very different to this one. It's going to be about discipline in a Montessori classroom. So anyway, good night, everyone, and hope to see you again.
Thanks, Sean.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Annie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sean. Good night.
Good night. Good night.